True to the Game. The very first time I heard the title of this book, I was on Broad Street, South Philly to be exact, and I was looking for a printer to help me turn my manuscript, Naira, into a full-fledged paperback book. Back in the 90s, we didn't have the internet so much. So everything was going through the yellow pages, flipping through that huge yellow book and looking for printers or calling information and trying to locate a printer. So that was my journey back then. And I was on Broad Street and I saw this printing business. And it was owned by a black woman, middle aged. And I walked into her office and the place was just in disarray. It was a good disarray though. She had papers everywhere. She had manuscripts. She had parts of a book laid out. She had the press, the manual press that would press the book together when she glued the cover to the book. We're talking primitive. We're talking original printing where she printed out the actual papers and then she glued them together and then she glued on the spine and the cover and then she just put everything together and let it dry. So this is what I'm talking about. So I came in there and I asked her about her prices and I told her what I wanted to do. And she said, "Oh, you mean like this?" And she showed me the original cover to True to the Game. Little did I know how big this book is and how popular it was, because this is, as I said, was in the 90s when street lit was at its highest. Everywhere you went, people were on the corner selling books by black authors mostly, and it was self-published work. It was books that wasn't carried in the mainstream bookstores. They were carried in the independent black bookstores, which back then there were a lot more of them than now. A lot of them, unfortunately, have closed. But in Philly, we had Afro Mission. We had Hakim's. We had, well, that still exists, Hakim's. Let me correct that. That's still in West Philly. We had what else? We had in the gallery in Center City, Market Street Gallery, we had Horizon Books. And before that, we had Basic Black Books, which at one point was a cart in the mall. And then it evolved into a full-fledged bookstore that people could walk in and purchase books. And oh my God, there were so many book signings at Basic Black Books. I did a number of signings there. It was such an amazing experience. But let me not digress. We'll talk about the book signing events later. Loved it, loved it. So this was the first time I was introduced to True to the Game. And as I said, I didn't know how amazing she was and how popular she was. And people from Philly to New York, everywhere, DC, Maryland, everybody was reading her work. And I remember I went to the Harlem Book Fair and the key speaker at that time was Teri, and that's the author of True to the Game. And I just was in awe. I was all the way in the back away from the stage, but I could hear her voice and she was talking about her book and about her journey. And I mean, the whole crowd was just alive with excitement and just was so happy for her. And years later, when I found out that her book actually made it to a film, I was elated. So this is just saying, stay on your journey, stay on your course, because you never know where you will end up. Her book started off as a manuscript that was printed out and glued together. Then it went to a established publishing house who printed it out and sent it to bookstores all over the country. She had shelf space in major bookstores. And then it became audiobook and it was carried in the libraries all over the place. And then it happened to go to mainstream movie. And I sat there and I watched it. And as I watched her movie, I just felt an eternal joy and happiness for her, because I know of her journey. I don't know all the things she's gone through, but I saw the beginning and I see where she is now. So that's my story. And that's what my experience with Teri Woods. I never met her personally, but I followed her journey and I was always a lot of steps behind her, just watching and just trying to figure out how to produce my book and how to get it out there. So thank you for following me. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. And as always, Support me, support me. Love, peace, joy, and happiness. Until next time. Bye-bye.